Welcome, everyone, to our Accelerated Breakthrough Mastermind. As you know, we do this every Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific. And I just encourage you to keep showing up because your business, your production, your bank account balance and net worth gain, frankly, it's going to grow to the extent that you personally grow. So showing up to learn and improve your knowledge, your skills, your mindset, your habits, I think is a basic fundamental of just an extraordinary career in real estate. Now, every week I invite a guest, somebody who I consider to be an icon of our industry. And Tony Martinez, I've known for at least a decade, just a super sharp individual, owns his own brokerage down in Florida, just crushing it, massive agent count. And he's also the owner of the CDPE designation. And he's taught tens of thousands of agents to get them to get their certification such that you can go into a changing market, a shifting market with this designation and just raise yourself up above all other competitors to earn that listing, to work with that buyer, whatever the case is. So Tony, without any further delay, please introduce yourself to the group and just tell us a little bit about Tony Martinez.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Sean, and congratulations on your success and your continued contribution to the industry. I just hear wonderful things about you and your organization. And as you know, maybe some of the other ones don't know, I had the honor and privilege of also being a SOAR coach and also accelerated breakthrough. And I just love it. I still get questions about that right now. So just a little bit about myself. You know, when I'm not doing male modeling, I focus on go ahead and building my real estate business. And so we're here in South Florida, which is always new and different. But one of my biggest passions is teaching and training agents. And a year and a half ago, I had the opportunity to acquire the CDPE brand. And there are probably some folks on the call that were CDPs back in the day. I called them OGs for old guard or original gangster. They could take their pick which one they want to use. But back in 2008, when the world kind of came to an end, there was one group, one organization that started teaching agents how to do short sales. Timing could not have been better, and it grew to become the fastest growing certification ever in the history of real estate. And I had the pleasure of being their lead instructor and their instructor of instructors during that ride. And I saw some things on the horizon, and it prompted me to take some action in 2020 to start teaching on this subject again. And then I got the idea to acquire what had been shut down as far as the CDP, and we've brought it back to life, and we're actively engaged in training agents again.
That's fantastic, Tony. And yes, we've got a pretty rich history together. You had mentioned the SOAR training program.
Yep.
Stood for Success Other Agents Realize, meaning success leaves clues, and you don't have to recreate the wheel. And yet this was a 4-week, full day live training program, 1 day per week for 4 weeks in a row. And sadly, COVID came along. We had to shut it down. So we rewrote the program into Accelerated Breakthrough. And Tony's been a trainer and a coach of that program in his past. And he's just a top-notch guy. So Tony, tell us, what is the benefit for an agent to gain their CDPE certification in a market like today? I mean, what's in it for them? But why should they do that?
We all know that initials after your name can determine your success, right? Not really, right? So the average consumer doesn't know CDPE from COPD. So I'm always careful to make sure that we get the initials correctly. But I'm a big believer in specialization, Sean. And I think you and I are like-minded. As of right now, we have about 1.6 million realtors. And we could argue, does the nation need 1.6 million realtors? Will there be 1.6 million realtors a year from now, given what's happening? So I'm a big believer in specialization and niche marketing. And there's a segment of the market that's been ignored for several years now because we've had such an amazing market, and that's called distressed properties. And I tell agents all day long, our segment is not sexy. Luxury is sexy, but ours is not crowded. And you know what? In every single market, there's individuals that something bad happens. Bad things happen to good people. And foreclosures never went away. They just stopped being front page news. And I just feel now, given some factors, some economic factors that we can or not get into, depending upon how much time you have for me, I see an increase in foreclosures, and we're seeing an actual wave of foreclosures building. And I think it creates an opportunity for agents to engage in that segment. And it could make the difference in terms of their production, a significant difference. You were muted there, Sean.
Sorry about that, guys. How long does it take to get the designation?
Well, we have two formats. One is a full day live and in-person format. I'm really excited we're able to bring that back, because with COVID, everything was Zoom and everything else. And now we also have the online on demand, which is 23 modules. If someone start to finish, about 6.5 hours of training. So I've taken what was a 2-day course and I've streamlined it to only focus on what I believe is the most essential for agents in this day and age when it comes to engaging distressed homeowners.
Got it. So let's say I take that time, I get the certification. What would you recommend that I do with it? Meaning, how does this impact my lead generation? What strategies do you see other agents that are engaged with CDPE that are, just getting more business, and how are they doing it?
Simple, work backwards. And people go, what the heck does that mean? That means that I always teach that you should break your distressed property database into 3 different categories. Category A are individuals that have a sale date, an auction date. Well, people act as though, where do I get this information? I go, it's all public record. All you gotta do is log on to your courthouse site. There are the sale dates. See, individuals that have a sale date, they have the least amount of time and should have the least amount of excuses. And there's absolutely no viable reason to let your home go into foreclosure, or I should say, foreclosure be concluded, because either you have equity, and that could be a regular sale, and you walk out with some money in your pocket, or if you're underwater, my course is going to teach you how to engage these individuals and help them with a short sale. So start with the ones that have a sale date. 70% of your effort should be in that category. Category B are individuals that are officially in the foreclosure process, but don't yet have a sale date. I say 20% of your effort goes into that category. And then 10% are individuals that you find out one way or another are behind on their payments, but the foreclosure process has not officially commenced. These are folks that are going to take more nurturing because they're the ones that have the most options available to them.
Undoubtedly. So, by the way, for that third category, if you guys want access to the notice of default list, all you have to do is go to landvoice.com /SOAR, SOAR. Tony and I mentioned that earlier. You'll get 30 days of their pro level data for just $30. That includes the NOD list, includes names, property addresses, and phone numbers. So there's no real excuse. I mean, everything starts with list building, and this is a powerful way for you to start picking up more listing opportunities. Now, Tony, I want to talk about the psychology of the individuals going through this financial distress, because a lot of people, they just don't think straight when they're in that situation.
They do not.
And so, go ahead.
Well, I call it the 7 deadly emotions. And what happens is, whether it's fear, whether it's greed, whether it's apathy, whether it's anger, these are all emotions that individuals that are losing. And one of the things I try to do, Sean, is, and you taught me this, the power of words, is that when I teach a CDP, I said, you're going to meet individuals that are losing their home, but you got to start changing the lexicon and don't refer to it as their home. You look at it as exiting the property with dignity. Because, they're attached to that home. It's like a family member. They've raised their kids and everything there. But when you reach a point of no return, because we do want to help people stay in their home, but when they can't stay in their home, we want to help them exit with dignity. And yes, I go through a very detailed listing presentation because the psychology is so different. For example, how often do you bring a box of tissues into a listing presentation? That's not something that's normally there in an equity sale. But when someone is losing their home, you're going to have tears, right? And you're going to have couples fighting, and they're angry at themselves, each other. Man, they're even mad at you, and you just got there and you're trying to help them. So it's a different mindset.
No doubt about it. Okay, so let's talk notice of default list just
Yeah.
for a moment. Let's say that I engage with landvoice.com forward slash
Hmm.
soar, and I get that 30 days of pro level data for $30. I get
Hmm.
these names, these addresses, these phone numbers. They've just been notified that they're in default with their mortgage company, that the foreclosure process is beginning. How do you approach those people, Tony? What are your thoughts? What are the scripts, the dialogues, the words? Talk to me.
There's a couple different approaches. I think I never ever suggest approaching them with, hey guys, you're in foreclosure. Let me help you sell your home. Let me help you do a short sale. Because you know what? You're no different than the bank at that point. The bank is saying, pay me or get out. And you're trying to say, list with me and get out. I think what we do is we approach them as foreclosure prevention advocates. You're there because you care. You're there because you want to make sure that individuals have explored every available option for staying in their home and understand what rights they have as homeowners in these individual states. And start with the approach that you're there to help them. Now, when it's someone that's very, very close to foreclosure, we got to forego a lot of these niceties and we got to get down and dirty and say, listen, folks, I'm sure this is no surprise to you, or maybe it is, but your home is coming up for auction in 3 days, right? I'm here to see if we can help you avoid this. And then you just got to continue the conversation. Let them open the door and let you walk in.
All right, so let's jump into a role play, Tony. I know you didn't expect this, and I
Okay.
put you in the hot seat, and I know you can handle it. So,
No pressure.
so notice of default list. Okay, so they were
Mhm,
just notified they're in default with their mortgage company. You get the list, you get the name, the phone number, the address. You're going to
mhm.
call me. I'm going to answer the phone. You ready?
Right.
Ring, ring. Hello.
Hey, hi, is this Sean?
It is.
Hey, Sean, hi, this is Tony Martinez with ABC Realty. I'm just going to take a moment of your time. I was doing some research and I came across your information that it looks like you're having some mortgage difficulties. That sound about right?
Yeah. Sadly.
Yeah, I know. I know how difficult it can be. And actually, I do know because I've been through foreclosure myself. So I know how difficult it can be. But the hardest part for me was when I couldn't get any help, when I didn't know what was available to me. And that's why I'm really reaching out to you. I pride myself on being a foreclosure prevention advocate. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of your status. And I wanted to find out what you're doing about it. So can you share with me what steps you're taking to maybe remedy your situation?
We're just trying to liquidate some things. It's not going well, Tony.
Yeah, I know. I know. You find maybe the bank's not being very cooperative with you.
True. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't mind, and again, I can understand you saying, hey, listen, this is none of your business. But at this point, I'm truly just trying to help you. Have you spoken with your lender? Have you tried to work something out with them to see if it's possible for you to go ahead and make the foreclosure action cease?
No, I have not. How
That's
would I
where I
do
would
that?
start. That's what I would start, Sean. I would. And look, there's a couple of different ways that we can go about this. One is you can do this all yourself, or two, you can go ahead and get some professional help. Now, I don't know if you're at the stage right now where you need maybe an attorney or not, but I think that the very minimum, we need to get together. I need a few minutes of your time so I can hear you tell me exactly what happened, what brought you to the scenario. And look, one of the things I'll do is if I can help you, I will. And if I can't, I'll tell you that as well. But at the very minimum, we need to get together. And based on your situation, it needs to be sooner than later, Sean.
I would agree with that, Tony.
All right. So listen, I'm available this afternoon or tomorrow morning if that's better for you. Which one?
Tomorrow morning. All right. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Good job. So I could sense the genuine care that you're there to help them. Now, let's say we do get together.
Yeah.
I'm on the NOD list. Okay.
Mhm.
What do you do during that meeting?
Well, here's the first thing is I seldom will go to their home for the meeting. I'm a big believer in coming to the office.
Okay.
So, that
Well, first
home is
tell me why. Why is that important to you?
well, both time management and control of my environment. See, that's what they're losing. They're losing their home, right? I can't control the environment, the phone ringing, a neighbor knocking on the door, any of these things. But in my office, I can set the mood, the stage that, and there's going to be exchange of some very, very personal documents. And I don't want to carry those around with me. I don't want to stop at the grocery store and have something happen like that. So, and plus, if it takes me 45 minutes to drive there and 45 minutes back, that's an hour and a half less I have to work on my business.
That's right. Okay. So they show up at the office and what do you do? What do you say?
First thing I got to do is make them feel comfortable. I got to sit them down, I offer them something to drink, and then I say the following. I go, listen, thank you so much for coming in. I wish we were meeting under different circumstances. I got a chance to know a little bit about your situation over the phone, but now I'm prepared to go into more detail. But here's the thing. My primary mission today is to see if I can be of assistance to you. And the only way that I can make that determination is by asking you some very direct, very personal questions. And please understand, I am not here to judge you in any way, shape, or form. And this information is confidential. But to the degree that you're candid and honest with me will determine whether I'm in a position to help you. That sound good?
Sounds great, Tony. Great script, man. I love that lead in. So it makes them feel comfortable, lowers their defenses, no doubt about that. And what's the ultimate goal of this meeting, in your opinion?
Well, the business side of me is I wouldn't have met with them if I didn't feel that I can help them one way or another. And let's just cut to the quick. More often than not, these folks have to leave. And I tell you why, Sean, most people wait until almost the very last moment to take action. By the time they reach out to an agent or an agent's made contact with them, all opportunities to stay in the home pretty much are gone. So now it comes down to a race to either sell or be foreclosed on. So I start with the end in mind. The end in mind is I'll have a listing agreement at the end of that appointment.
Fantastic. Now, the reason I'm spending more time on the NOD list, you guys, is because, as you know, the government did a moratorium on foreclosure activity by enterprise banks. And so while the foreclosure process takes 6 to 8 months, now we're starting to see more NODs since they've lifted the moratorium, right?
Yep.
So, and because of that, I want you to get ahead of the curve. All right, let's talk about, let's say they're in foreclosure, they got a pending foreclosure date. Now, how do you approach that phone call? Talk to me, Tony. What's the script?
Well, I mean, at that point, this is one of those situations where it's triage. This is stat. Look, you got a couple days. If you had called a different agent, they would have said, there's not much we can do, but you're on the phone with me. So the first thing we do is we get together. If we decide to work together, then we're going to implement a strategy to go ahead and put that foreclosure on hold. And that involves usually an attorney, foreclosure defense attorney, that meets with the judge or the court or contacts the other side's attorney. And they need to be equipped with at least a sales contract to go ahead and have the best opportunity for the decision maker to say, okay, I see what you're trying to do. You want to see this play out. All right, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 60 days. Well, I was hoping you'd give me 4 months. Well, the best I can do is 90. All right, I'll take it. Because what happens is when they get to you that late in the game, if you don't have at least 30 days, 37 days before the sale date, many of the servicers, they won't even entertain a short sale. And at the end of the day, you got to get that date pushed back. Even if they have equity and it's going to turn out to be a regular sale, you still need to get that date pushed back, right? Because you're going to need 20, 25, 30 days to close it. And the sale date's coming up in 2 or 3 days. So we go into action mode to implement the strategies to go ahead and get that date pushed back. If we're not successful at getting that date pushed back that way, there's still one more card that we can play, and that's the bankruptcy card. And these folks have the opportunity to go ahead and file bankruptcy, which stops everything. And that can go ahead and buy you some time. So I'm giving you a very abridged version of what I go into a lot more specificity about in the course, but these are all the things the agents have to know. The agent has to be the one with the plan. We don't ask the consumer, well, what do you think we should do? They're coming to us and we're saying, this is what we're going to do.
Fantastic, Tony. Thank you so much. Great insights, by the way. Now, I know that each and every one of you has a question for Tony. No doubt about that. So here's what I want you to do. Either unmute yourself and just ask your question, or you can move your mouse down to the lower third of your computer screen there, and you'll see a little icon there. It says react. Well, it's not reaction. What is it? Where did it go? Oh, it is the reactions tab. Sorry about that. Go ahead and click the reaction icon, and you'll see a little thing that says raise hand. you can do that. I promise you that we'll call upon you. I'm sure you have some questions for Tony as it relates to improving your production, your net income and net worth by getting the CDPE designation. Sorry about that.
You got it.
A lot of words to come out of my mouth right there. It took a while. All right, Linda Hedrick out of Pueblo, Colorado. Take it away.
Yes. So I have a gentleman that called me over the weekend, over the holiday, very distressed. He went through a job loss about 3 or 4 months ago. He told me he's behind 2 payments. He has another job, but he cannot make his mortgage payment. He's upside down. He's only owned it about a year.
Mm.
And I met with the lender yesterday. He didn't have too much to tell me, so I'm excited to be on this call today. In 2008 and 9, I did a good amount of short sales and occasionally a foreclosure. But what would be my next step with him? I'm waiting for him to call me back.
Okay. Well, the good news is that typically the servicers have to wait 120 days before they can file any type of foreclosure action against these individuals. So unless it's a hard money loan, if this is a traditional loan, they have 120 days that they must be in default at least that long before action is initiated. And even then doesn't mean that the lender is going to rush to it. The biggest thing that I encourage them to do is actually communicate with the lender, to explain their situation to them. Now, there are people that have a temporary hardship and there's people that are just going to be down and out for the count. So, if he would buy another 2 or 3 months before the lender takes some action, could he be gainfully employed in those 3 or 4 months? And if so, at that point, they might be able to work out some kind of a repayment situation, a forbearance agreement with the lender.
So he is in communication with the lender. I'm waiting for him to call me on his new position. He doesn't make enough to, keep making the mortgage payment, but he does have arrangements to get into a rental again with the same landlord that actually worked with him before he went to purchase.
Okay.
So he did say he's talking to the lender about some type of a loss mitigation. I don't know really too much about what he's trying to accomplish, except
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he should try to rent possibly this home.
You have to be so careful about that. I cover this. Okay, so here's a situation. If he rents that property, what happens if the people stop paying him? What happens if there's any damage to the property? The air conditioner goes out. Does he have the reserves to go ahead and pay for the air? And one of the most irresponsible things any real estate agent could do is list a property for sale as a lease when the landlord is in default themselves. Because what you're doing is you're bringing a tenant into what it will be probably a lawsuit situation. So it's one of I think the things I really would just say, hey, here's a business card of an agent I can't stand. You go work with them. Okay. Don't give me that. But I would recommend in his case that if it looks like he cannot stay in the property, then it's time to consider exiting with dignity. So now you do a CMA, but first you make sure that he gets payoffs. You got to get real numbers, Linda. And you know what also scares me? When we ask people, how many mortgages do you have? People will say 1. I go, So how many mortgages do you have? Because there are people that have taken out HELOCs, they have taken out other loans against the property, and they're like, oh yeah, there was that one. So I would make sure that my title company does a lien search and make sure that I know exactly what is owed on that property. I do my CMA, I factor in closing costs and commissions, and that determines whether it's going to be a regular sale, or if you're underwater, then it's a short sale.
Yeah. So there's a title company, I believe in the Denver area, maybe Sean remembers the name of it, Empire Title. So I got to the point where they would charge my sellers in 2008, 9, and part of 10 a small reasonable fee to assist me with the short sale, because they're very time consuming. I found out if I tried to do it all myself. So I do have a call in for them to see if they would still assist. Do you feel like that's a good way to go as well?
Yes, well, because one of the biggest changes from the old CDP to the new CDP is back in the day, we had to teach the agents how to negotiate the short sales because nobody else knew what they were doing. But once I became a broker and this huge target showed up on my back miraculously, I walked by a mirror and there was this target on my back. I said, you know what, the last thing I want is real estate agents out there doing something that maybe they're not skilled or trained to do. So the new CDP teaches, why don't we focus on what we do best? Let's stay in our lane. Let's list and sell, and let's let the professional negotiators, the ones that work for title companies, the ones that work for attorneys, or third-party negotiators, which I can introduce you to, let them do the heavy lifting. Our job is to find motivated, engaged sellers, take the listing, price it correctly, get it sold, and then make sure we have an interested buyer, a committed buyer, and let's get them through the process, but get professional help when it comes to negotiations.
Way to go. Great advice, Tony. All right, gang, we've got the bottom of the hour. So we do this a half hour every Tuesday afternoon. I want you to keep showing up. See, our goal is to get you ahead of the curve so that you're prepared for the next coming market. Okay, so Tony, you added substantial value today, brother. Always appreciate time with you. And thank you for just pouring into our group today. Any last thoughts or words of wisdom?
Well,
if somebody want to get their designation, how do they do it?
Yeah, because I figured, so say, well, how do I do it? Well, go to cdpe.com, and you'll see a couple of options. Live in person, I got one in California, I got one in Orlando. More are going to be scheduled as a result of everything that's happening right now. Or you can do the online, on demand. The course is normally $499. But Icon, folks, you get a special price. And I think because Sean, you negotiated that on their behalf, $100 off. So, but they have to use the coupon code ICON100. ICON100 brings the price down to $399. And that includes the first year's membership in the CDP. Is only $99 a year after that. But if they have any questions, they can write us support@cdpe.com. Support@cdpe.com. We're happy to answer any and all questions for them.
Awesome. Tony, thank you again so much. And guys, I
Thank
just
you.
want you to be prepared as we enter this shifting market. Tony, thank you for doing this for everybody.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. Take care.
My pleasure. We'll see you all next week.
Okay.
And next week,
bye-bye.
by the way, we're going to be talking through probate, I believe, with Frank Valente, right? Yeah, so he's a probate expert out of California, you guys. He's going to show you how to go out and get those probate listings. I think there's another way for you just to get another tool in your tool belt. All right. Talk to you all then.